Hey, welcome to Adventures with Peps. Today we are painting this Judge Dredd Mongoose Games Punk. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to use him in the current edition of Judge Dredd. He's probably going to be a Juve of some sort because he is a little bit smaller than the other punks. But we're kicking things off with Sand Golem, and I'm going to use that on all his flesh tones. Now, this model, he's a funny little one. Obviously made of white metal, as it's Mongoose. So he had quite a bit of cleanup needed. I snapped the tab off his feet and glued him to a warlord base. But he's weirdly sized, I guess is the way to say it. His head comes to a shoulder height of the new warlord ganger. So I'm going to assume he's a punk. But he's a little bit chunkier also than the warlord games models. So maybe he's just a chunky brat. Right, we're gonna get the Sand Golem on. Trying to use some different colours for flesh tones. I've mentioned this a few times now over previous videos. I just want to add some tonal differences in this Sand Golem. It's an interesting one. You'll see it when it dries up, but it's not a great flesh tone. I think this will be the last time I use Sand Golem. It was, yeah, it just ends up looking sandy, which is probably what it's meant to do. And with that process now dried, we'll move on to the Grave Lord Grey. This, as many of you know, I probably use for feet, belts, that kind of stuff, and the base. So I'm going to pick out his shoes. My reason is I don't like straight up black speed paints. I don't think they work as well as I want them to. So I prefer a dark grey to represent my blacks, especially on these comic book characters. I also use it on his very strange codpiece. It's not U-fronts, but it's a weird armor plate over his groin. And then also the zipper. I probably had too much paint on my brush trying to do that zipper, but it's good enough. And then I'm also going to hit up the handle on the pistol, just to make it a little bit darker. It's probably a touch that no one's ever going to notice on the model, but I know it's there. With that drying, we can move on to the big hair crest. I wasn't entirely sure what colour to go with, so I ended up using the Hive Purple. Now, something I'm starting to realise with these models is that I need to do brighter undercoats. I'm doing zeniths at the moment, where it's like a dark black, some grey, and then dry brushed white to help pick out shading. I don't know, it's not 100% working with these Judge Dredd figures. I think I want them brighter. I want them to be brighter, I want them to look brighter, I want them to be more comic book. And I'm still stuck in the idea of the grim dark 40k, I guess, where everything's grimy and a little bit darker. I need to get out of that bad habit. But Runic Grey up next, that's going to go on the pistol. So what you're going to see is when I've completed this model, it's going to be tabletop ready, as always. But what I'm going to be doing with these Blood Packers is going back and highlighting and brightening up all the models, because they are all very grimdark. I want them to look bright and colourful and comic booky, so I need to do an extra stage on them all. But the plus side is they are tabletop ready. I do love his tiny pistol. It looks like it's not going to hurt anybody, especially a judge. I know it's the right scale for the figure, but it's so teeny tiny, it's comical. And now the magic blue, we're going to use that on his trousers. Just want to pop a colour. He is pretty dark, and that's probably something I need to fix at a later date. I maybe went too dark with his t-shirt, as you'll see in a minute. And obviously the grey that I used on his codpiece and his zipper. So I need to lighten up the model. This magic blue is going to work nicely to do that and give him a little pop. With a few final dabs, his trousers are pretty much done. He's looking nice and bright blue trousers, and this is where I probably make my next mistake. I decided to do his t-shirt the same colour as his hair. I don't know why. But weirdly, it also came out a lot darker. And I don't know why. I just don't know. Maybe I hadn't shook the pigment properly when I was doing his hair. As you can see, the paint is a lot darker. I don't think I messed up. Maybe I messed up somewhere. But yeah, it's a lot darker than I thought it was going to come out. Which is quite comical, but hey, you live and you learn. He's now looking pretty impressive. Like, I'm not 100% set on the paint, but he is looking almost done, and he is only a Juve. He'll come in a pack of 3, so it's not like he needs to be a front and center character. And as you saw, I grabbed the Absolution Green. I'm using that on his knee pads and his shoulder pads. I'd like to think he's kind of mocking the Justice Department. Once again, I feel like I could have been braver and gone for the brighter greens that I have, like the Orc Flesh that I use on the judges. Instead I went for this more muted green, and it just brought down the whole colour of the model. I need to remember I can be brighter, I can be bolder with these Judge Dredd figures. I don't have to hide in the grim dark. Then of course we finish with the Slaughter Red. You can't be a Blood Packer without some red on you. And obviously we're going to use it on the biggest, flattest area of the model, the jacket. And this is nice and bright, it comes out nice and bright. There's just definitely things that I need to fix. This paint scheme didn't quite work the way I wanted it to. But I thought I'd share, because I made the video. And you gotta show your mistakes as well as your wins. But yeah, overall, I think the biggest mistake was I just wasn't bold enough with my colours. I can go brighter, I can be brighter. I need to just do a flat white prime. Stop doing this Zenith stuff. There's no need for it. The contrast paints can do their job quite well without me faking some shadow in it. I don't need to fake it. I can just do it with the speed paint. So moving forwards, I'm going to just be priming my models white and trying to go bigger and brighter and bolder. But as you can see, the blue and the red I love on the final model. I'm very happy with the blues and the reds. It's just I went too dark with that green, and the t-shirt, I think it's the t-shirt more than anything is bothering me. It went way darker than I expected. And yeah, just when one thing goes wrong, it can really throw off the entire scheme. So I need to just go back in and I'll fix it up at some point. But for now, I'm pretty happy with how he's looking. And with a few final touches on the inside of the coat, I think we're pretty much there. The base needs a little grey highlight just to bring that up, and obviously I need to fix his t-shirt and maybe the skin tone. It came out patchy. Don't know why. I didn't think I'd put it on that thickly, but hey, here's the final photos. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers for watching.